Hi everyone, welcome back to the Gypsy Caravan. I'm Shan. How you doing? Girl, I had COVID. I'm almost certain I had COVID. So I had to take like a few weeks break. Not break. I had to quarantine and self-isolate and keep myself from the rest of the world. So I know my last two previous uploads were re-promotes or old uploads because there was no way in hell I was going to be able to upload any makeup look or tutorial or any kind of thing on YouTube with the way my face was looking. It was serious. I guess you can kind of gather from the title of this video, I am going to be kind of just talking you through my experience of Trav and I having COVID. We were not expecting to get it. We are super strict and super sanitary around, we have been around this whole situation, and somehow it's still caught up to us. You can still do all the right things, you can still wear all the right things and still be caught in a situation. And that's exactly what happened. I just, heads up, this video is a mess. It really is. It's up and down, back and forth. It's not really like focused on the makeup, but I feel like I just had to do something with my hands and to try and keep myself calm, because just talking about this made my blood boil. So yes. Anyway, so here's the video. Enjoy. Also, just like BT dubs, obviously because this video is not really focused on the makeup, if you are curious to know what I am using, if I like don't show you in the video, everything's going to be linked down in the description box below. Like I said, it's not really focused on the makeup. It's more of like a story time, but just in case you were wondering. Okay, cool. I'm going to leave you alone. Let's go to the video. Okay, so I'm just starting with normal eye-based Painterly. Okay, so like, let's start at the beginning, and I'm talking like 2020. I love how people are like, oh, COVID's not a real disease. Oh my gosh, COVID is this, COVID is not serious, X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. Let me tell you something, COVID is a really serious thing when it has wiped out nearly 85% of your family. We have yet to lose someone on Trav's side of the family, but nearly every single person that I have spoken to in the last year and a half that has had it has either thankfully recovered or is no longer with me, and it's majority my mom's side of the family. Well, my side of the family, my mom's side of the family. So there's so many people that Trav and I have personally lost through this freaking awful disease. So first and foremost, please don't tell me, and I was one of those naive people in the very beginning when we first got home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just the flu, like what is going on? Until I started seeing like the statistics and things of people dying, and I'm like, okay, you know what, I take that back, it's more than just the flu. So anyway, so because Trav and I started losing almost all our mutual friends, family was passing away, like even up until this day, like I probably have very little family left because of this disease. So it's a real thing, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, don't go out, don't live your life, don't do this. Just be considerate and keep in mind that if one person has recovered from COVID, it's probably because they're a little bit stronger than the next person who didn't. And I can promise you now, all the people and friends and family that Trav and I have lost in this year and a half, it's been all the people who have had underlying conditions, and like, you just have to be considerate. You don't know who's got an underlying condition. Not every disability is visible to the eye. Which brings me to my story, in the sense of I was super nervous. I was super scared for Trav's sake of getting it, because he has asthma. I'm going to start here with Perfectionist. Because he has asthma, so I was, more than anything, I could not give two shits about myself if I got it. I have a strong immune system. I'm an ox. I don't normally get sick for just anything. like I've never seen the inside of a hospital other than my operation. So other than that, like I don't even get the flu sometimes, because like germaphobe, and working at Mac, everything had to be sanitary, so like I just never really got sick. But I couldn't give two shits about myself. The person I was worried about the most was Trav. We were just being super strict. We wouldn't just go to a friend's house. Like, we always wore our masks. He always wore his mask. I mean, he's even had like super serious fights with his family regarding the studio about being sanitary and certain people not taking this seriously. As have I had the same conversation with my immediate family, because it just, in my mind, and I'm not trying to be horrible or anything, but in my mind, the boomer and older generations do not understand this, do not get this at all. They just don't care. So I was just very skeptical about Trav getting it and being made a widow by the time I've even had a chance to enjoy my marriage. So that was my fear. And luckily, for the whole of 2020, we were able to avoid it. Obviously, keeping in mind the variant that we have now and the variant back in the beginning of all of this is obviously two different variants, and this one is more contagious and stronger. But people were still dying on that variant. That very first wave of COVID, people that I knew personally, like very close to me, were still dying. So, whatever. So for the whole of 2020, we were able to avoid it. Even with us going out, we wore a mask constantly. Anytime I had a freelance, I always wore a mask. Even if I was the only dumbass wearing a mask, because it happens all the time where I've been on photo shoots and video shoots and music video shoots and I'm literally the only person wearing a mask. I will be that idiot and wear a mask because I don't want my husband getting sick and getting COVID. But anyway, at the end of the day, we could not outrun it anymore, and Trav actually picked it up first. So we're fine, we're obviously over it, we've passed the quarantine period and we're good, we don't have any symptoms whatsoever anymore. So we're safe to join society again, which is cool. But when this all started, Trav actually woke up the one Sunday morning just before church, like he was getting ready to go to church, and he was like, my throat is really itchy. So it wasn't a case of postnasal, it wasn't a case of my throat sore, it felt itchy, like if you have an allergic reaction and you like just want to scratch your throat, that's kind of what it felt like. And I'm like, well, you know what, it's really cold. We had just hit our first cold front and the air was really cold, and I mean, like, even I was battling to breathe because that cold air was like hitting the back of my throat and it's just agitating everything. So essentially that's what it was. So that Sunday night, it just progressively got worse. Trav was really worried and I was really worried about him because he was just progressively getting worse that Sunday afternoon. And I'm like, you know what, let's just both go for a test, because if you are sick and if you have it, chances are, with me being in close proximity to you, obviously, I have it too. The next day, he made a phone call to his doctor. He spoke to his GP. Doctor looked him over as well and he's like, look, you're healthy and fine, but just to be safe, go for a test. He went for a test. I didn't, because like I said, I wasn't exhibiting any symptoms whatsoever. I just now started wearing a mask around him because obviously now I didn't want to get it, even though chances are that at the end of the day you probably are going to get it, but whatever. So because my sister and her husband had had it already, they gave us like a complete rundown of like medication that you need, stuff that you need to do, X, Y, and Z. So we went and had everything bought and delivered and all of that stuff. So very late that evening, he got his test results back and they were positive. He had COVID. So now I'm freaking out. Like, when I say I'm freaking out, like, I was terrified because, like I said, I had just recently lost a friend and she's now a widow because she's lost her husband. Not even a week before Trav tested positive, my uncle died and his wife is now a widow. So I did not want to lose my husband over people's inconsiderations and this freaking disease. So I was freaking out. I'm like, okay, Flip, we need to just look after you, kind of thing. Like, when I say I could give two shits about myself, I really could not care. if I was sick and crawling, it would be better than losing my husband, because I just did not want to do that. But anyway, so tested positive. I didn't go for a test. Me too, I don't know if I've said that already, because I wasn't exhibiting symptoms. But so that was the Monday morning. Yeah, Monday morning. That Tuesday I had a pole class. Now also keep in mind, our pole classes went back onto Zoom and online, so my instructor closed the studio down because everyone was like getting sick and worried, so I continued with my classes online. And that evening I had class as usual, but I could feel like I was slowly starting to get slightly fluey. So now normally when I get the flu, it's not the flu, it's a sinus infection because it sits in my nose and in my eye. So I just thought, flip, okay, I'm getting a sinus infection, and if it's COVID, I'll know. But I didn't have the same symptoms as Trav, like at all. Our symptoms could not be more different. So with Trav's symptoms, he had a sore throat, he had ridiculous sore to the touch feeling, like I couldn't even put my hand on his shoulder, that's how sore it was. So he had like sore to the touch feeling, nerve, I don't know. He had the chills. He was like cold and shivering one moment and then like hot the next. And then obviously he had a little bit of a niggly chest in terms of like phlegm. But still again, he didn't have a runny nose, he didn't have postnasal. Oh, and he had like really bad, okay, that was just my phone. He had really bad headaches. I wrote everything down in my notes just so I could keep track of where we are. So yeah, he had a sore throat, coughing and phlegm, and then later on, I would say after he tested positive, like around day 4 or 5, he lost his sense of taste and his smell. Now keeping in mind, all through this time, I still didn't exhibit the same symptoms as he had, because we didn't have the same symptoms, but I didn't show any bad symptoms, like, at all. I had a blocked nose, my eye was watering a bit, and I just assumed I had a sinus infection because I was on a cold floor doing a pole class stretching, you know what I'm saying? So I just thought, okay, I was stupid and caught a cold. Anyway, it was only after 2 days after that I lost my sense of taste and scent, and that's when I knew, okay, cool, I've got it. Like, I'm not even gonna go for a test because I know I have it. Even with Trav's asthma and me freaking out about it, he actually pulled through nicely. So we both recovered. Obviously, we're both still here, we're both still alive. I want to say we went through our COVID stage unscathed. Like, I did not feel sick at all, but I had the blocked nose and the sinus infection, where Trav had phlegm and like a really bad chesty cough. So given everything that's going on in the situation and in the world right now, we pulled through pretty well. I think we did pretty well, considering. But anyway, so we went through our quarantine stage. We took all the medication that was necessary. We just made sure that we just did our part to get through it. And I think after, like, because he tested positive the Monday, that weekend both of us already started feeling aces. Like, I could run the comrades with a blocked nose. That's how bad the situation was for us, luckily. Comfort zone. So yeah, so I would like to think we came out of this extremely lucky. It could have been way, way worse. And when Trav spoke to his GP again a couple days later, his GP actually made an observation, said because of all the cortisone and Seretide that he's on for his asthma, it probably helped keep the COVID at bay. It could have been way worse. It really could have been. But luckily, he feels with all the antibiotics and stuff for his actual asthma, it kept the COVID at bay, which is great. Because like I said, I was really worried about that. But anyway, I feel like I'm talking in circles and trying to do my makeup at the same time. This is hard. Took all the vitamins and minerals that we needed. We sat in the sun for hours every single day because vitamin D is good for you and it helps. We also did a lot of steaming sessions where you like boil water, put in a bowl. And we first started with vapor rub, but that kind of wasn't quite kicking the phlegm out. So we bought albus oil, which is basically a really strong eucalyptus essential oil with like menthol and stuff in, and that really seemed to help. We also have our own personal nebulizer, which again we did, and it helped. So I feel like all these steps really helped in aiding us to both just kind of get over it. Also, something that I want to mention that is quite interesting is that Trav was able to get his hands on ivermectin. And here's when I say COVID affects people of different ages in different ways. He took ivermectin for 3 days. That was what was prescribed and recommended. I did not touch ivermectin, and I made it through and he pulled through. So obviously ivermectin is the kind of medication that is like necessary to take. Everyone and their auntie is talking about it, and it's really hard to get your hands on the medication, but if you do take it, it helps. But only take it if you're positive. Don't take it as a preventative, because you're going to be preventing it for the rest of your life. So take it when you are sick, for sure. And this is what I'm saying. I didn't take it at all and I'm fine, but I'm young, I'm active, I don't sit on my ass all day. We eat extremely well. Both of us have been super strict with banting and drinking water and keeping healthy, and we're just active. So if I had to compare our situation with when my sister and her husband were sick, they're the same age-ish as us, but they had it way worse, but because they are less active than us and less healthier than us. No shade or anything, but that's just the case. They really are. They sit at a desk the whole day editing, where like Trav and I are up and down. I do pole classes, I do stretch classes, I do my own exercise regime at home. Like we're active and we look after ourselves. So yeah, this is why I'm saying it affects people in different ways, and you never know. It's like playing Russian roulette. You never know what you're going to get until you pull the trigger, essentially. So yeah, and then another thing that helped us to just kind of monitor the situation is we got an oximeter. I think that's what it's called. I should have actually brought it into the video, but my husband's teaching online, so I don't want to disturb him. But anyway, so it's like a clamp that you put on your finger, kind of like what they put on you at the hospital to like read your heart rate. So it's the same sort of thing, but it checks how much oxygen is in your blood, your heart rate, and something else. It checks like 3 things. So we kept an eye on Trav, especially for that, just to make sure he had enough oxygen in his blood. And we were both, I think the lowest we had the one day was 96, and you can't get lower than 90. So we were doing pretty well. So like I said, we came out of this unscathed, which was extremely lucky. Just seriously, take this seriously. We may have recovered from it just fine, but you could be that person that might not. And then you get people who are like, well, I've been around everybody, I don't wear a mask, I don't need to sanitize, and if I've been around everybody and haven't caught it yet, then I'm fine. And okay, good for you. You could be a carrier though, and you could be carrying the shit and giving it to everybody, but then you want to cry and snort and trana because family is dropping around you. Bitch, boss up. I'm tired of people. I really am. If I've learned anything in these last 2 weeks or this year, people ain't shit and they don't care. They really don't. And I don't have time for that. But anyway, vaccines. So when had a family meeting with the country the other night, he has made the age group for vaccinations available to people who fall in the age group of 18 to 34, which is us. And the question is now, are we going to take it or not? And the answer is yes, we are. But let me first explain. Initially, we weren't going to. We weren't going to take the vaccine. We were kind of against it in the beginning, and we said we're not. The reason why we've changed our view and perspective on it is because it's unfortunately the only way we can continue to work. So if you don't know, Trav and I are both employed with the same production company. They put on shows globally. And with, unfortunately, the entertainment industry dying here in South Africa and just not going anywhere, we haven't been able to work here. However, because the rest of the world is vaccinated or on the way to being almost 85 to 90% vaccinated, they are opening up their auditoriums, their theatres, and their arts and culture departments are starting to be revived, which means there's work for us. Yes, it may be overseas, but that is the only place we can work right now. So in order for us to work and catch up on the year that we have missed, because neither of us have worked for a year and a half now, we have to take the vaccine. If it means Trav and I can work, we're gonna take it. So that is what it is. I still don't want to take the vaccine, but if it's a way for me to work, and also let me just clarify while I'm here, I just thought of this now, it's not a case of like, oh my gosh, I'm taking the vaccine so that I can like travel and go places and live my best life. When we're on tour, we are lucky if we spend 1 day in a town, 2 days in a town, sorry, that didn't sound. We are lucky if we get an off day in a town. So like, let's take on average like a 30-day month, we could have 27 shows. That leaves 3 days off. Those 3 days include travel via plane, which is roughly 2 days. And then we have 1 extra day off, which is possibly for travel. So it's not like we're traveling with this company to live our best life overseas and be the influencers that we are. No, it's not that. It's literally just a case of we need work. There's no work in our country for us. And if we need to find work someplace else, and may that be in Italy or the Maldives or freaking Bora Bora, girl, I'm gonna do the job. And for me, the reason why I am so angry at the world right now, I mean, I've always hated people. I can't stand people. People are monsters. But the real realization that I've had this year as to why I just absolutely cannot stand people is because people just don't care. They just don't get it. They just don't understand, and it pisses me off. It's a different story if Trav did this intentionally. That's monstrous of him, but he didn't. He didn't even know. He woke up the one morning and had a slight itch in his throat. But now the world must end because he's inconsiderate. Feck you, honestly. But also to have the people who are blithely unaware of how serious the situation is and still choose to go and see people without a mask on, or to walk around at work or at class or in the mall, not wear your mask correctly. Like, you are the people that I hate. And then also the people to turn around and be like, oh my gosh, you must be careful, and this disease is so bad and you must look after yourselves. But it's the same hypocritical bitch that turns around and just flat out refuses to wear a mask. But no, we must be careful for this person, because if they get it, I don't know what I'd do with myself. Okay, well, lessen their chances of getting it. Wear a mask, sanitize your hands, socially distance. I was thinking, obviously because I had 2 weeks off. I didn't have 2 weeks off. I was sick for 2 weeks. I obviously had to keep myself busy and ended up doing a little bit of online shopping. So I don't know if y'all want to see like a haul video. I don't know if that's going to be well received, but I did some like makeup shopping. I did a little bit of like other shopping. So if that's like a video that you're interested in seeing, then I can totally film one. Okay, so that kind of completes this video. I know this video was like all over the place and honestly a mess. And I know I didn't really do like cool makeup or anything, but it was probably just the best way for me to process what has been going on the last 2 weeks with Trav and I having COVID, and just kind of the best way to explain like where I've been and our journey with COVID, obviously. So I'm back to posting regularly. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, like this video, and give it a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!